is that I have not been able to find the variable which causes people to respond well to HCG or not respond well to HCG.
Now, what Dave's talking about here is that there are some individuals that take HCG and get ED as a result of it. Actually, I mean, Dave is referring to a host of side effects because HCG can cause a bunch of side effects in people. It can make them fucking tired, lethargic, it can make them feel unwell, it can give them mood disorders and all this kind of shit. But, you know, what perplexes Dave about this, and what I think perplexes a lot of other people, as we're going to see in the forums here in a bit, is like, what's the reason for this? How is it that HCG, when it's supposed to be good for us, LH mimetic, inducing spermatogenesis, intratesticular testosterone, helps sensation, helps libido, all these kinds of things. How for certain individuals does it cause specifically boner problems? And I've looked through all the literature, man. I've looked through every mechanism, every downstream mechanism, whether progesterone and the possible 5-alpha reduction of testosterone being inhibited by progesterone in these cases. I've looked at the fact that it's immunogenic, or maybe this is interacting with erectile dysfunction and sexual function in some negative way, or causing people to have side effects on HCG. Going down various rabbit holes and studying this for years now, there is one answer to why HCG just isn't right for everyone. And in this video, I'm going to explain, first of all, why, but secondly, what you can do about it to avoid taking HCG, and maybe that'll get you dialed in. But the most important thing I want to say in this video is that there is no mystery on why HCG causes ED in like maybe 10 to 15%, could be 20%, could be more men on TRT. It's not some foreign mechanism, boys. It's before we start the video, look, Cortex Labs is a hormone consulting and performance optimization company for men. We got a range of different products, ranging from the Torque Stack, which is a nootropic stack that I built. It's like Adderall without the side effects. It's 35% off. You can get that down in the description of this video. You're going to love that stack. Secondarily, the most popular product we have right now is Sourceless. I mean, look, there's stuff your clinic can't get you. They can't get you DHT. They can't get you Provider. They can't get you Primo. You can't order a 20 milliliter vial of prop if you need it from your clinic. Everything's in the Sourceless. You can get it at livecortex.com. Lastly, I am a coach on TRT protocol restructuring, specifically in aiding libido and erection issues, as well as other issues on TRT. We've got that package, which is a consult, and we've got longer one-on-one packages where we really do a lot of work. If you need a lot of help and have the budget, you can book me for any of that stuff in under a minute at livecortex.com. I know, like, why would we have a post like this? So this does exist, right? Okay, HCG isn't for everybody. It can cause erectile problems specifically. It can mess with the sexual system on TRT. Yes, I said it. There is a subset of individuals for whom this happens. I'm going to explain why. But look at this post. Anyone experience ED from HCG? I started HCG about 3 months ago. After about a month and a half, I started experiencing erectile dysfunction. Thought it might be due to high E2, and I've been taking an AI for about a week and it hasn't helped. We're going to get to why that hasn't helped in a second. This is a different thread titled Worse Libido with HCG, where a guy says he took HCG and his libido got worse. And this comment's like fucking peculiar, but it's important for us to focus on this. Guy goes, yes, though. What causes it, meaning what causes lack of libido or sexual issues on HCG, is up for debate. People like to say E2, okay, estradiol, but I call BS on that after experimenting thoroughly with everything. Besides, if it's E2, pop an AI and it should go fully away, but it won't, okay? I just want to say that's not always true. AIs have their own mechanisms by which they can cause ED, so let's get to that. First, though, so that I don't keep you waiting, the answer to why HCG causes ED in some small subset of individuals that are on TRT is estrogen. Look, I've looked at every mechanism. I've studied its effect on progesterone. I've actually looked at various labs before and after on progesterone, specifically after taking HCG and before taking HCG. HCG doesn't really move progesterone a lot. In some cases, it doesn't move it at all. I've seen progesterone readings that were lower post-dosing HCG than pre-dosing HCG. So yes, there's this mechanism by which progesterone can inhibit 5-alpha reductase and inhibit DHT, and we know inhibiting DHT can cause ED. We know it fucking causes it. I have not seen that to bear out on blood work with clients. So I don't think it's progesterone. However, as I've pointed out in various deep dive videos into well-respected medical journals, estradiol past a certain threshold causes venous leakage, right? It probably inhibits vascular endothelial growth factor. It interferes with penile nitric oxide synthesis and signaling. And those things do cause ED. Okay, those things do cause ED. We do know that the addition of HCG into a testosterone protocol is going to increase intratesticular testosterone, intratesticular estradiol, as well as systemic estradiol. Let me give you an example. I started TRT at 210 milligrams a week of Test-Sip. I was doing daily sub-Q injections. And with that protocol, my estradiol with no HCG at 210 a week above 200 was 35. Okay. Yes, you can put your lifestyle together in a way which makes you so that you don't aromatize a whole lot. I added HCG after that, and I ended up lowering my dose to 168 milligrams a week, added 250 IU of HCG every day at that point. So, a somewhat of a high dose, but all things considered, actually not a high dose of HCG. And my estrogen went from 35 to 55. Okay, 55. That's a 20 picograms per milliliter increase in estrogen after merely the addition of HCG and reduced dose of testosterone, by the way. So we know HCG, like we know the one thing, people are like looking for the mechanism for why HCG fucks with their libido or they can't get dialed in on if HCG is in their protocol. There's one quantifiable metric that does change on the bloods, which we know causes ED, and that's increased estrogen. So in scouring all the literature and thinking about this while I'm driving to the gym, or because it has to do with a client that I'm dealing with, or thinking about it at midnight for the same fucking reason while I should be sleeping, I've concluded that the reason HCG is just not for some individuals in their protocol is because of fucking estrogen. It increases estrogen, boys. That's the mechanism. Now, so one might ask, okay, if it was estrogen, like this guy said, couldn't you just take an AI and it would fully go away? Like, this is where people's logic gets skewed and they've got errors in attribution that I hope to correct on this channel. No, it's not that because it's estrogen and you take an AI, the estrogen goes down and the issue of erectile dysfunction with HCG still persists, that estrogen wasn't the culprit. It's that AIs have a mechanism by which they can cause erectile dysfunction. Yes, that's true. Aromatase inhibitors, we've all fucking seen it, can cause ED, primarily from taking the estrogen lower than your range, but also I've seen cases where you can take calcium D-glucarate, get the estrogen down in a reasonable range, sexual function stays good. Take an AI, though, in a separate instance, get the estrogen in that same range, in the sweet spot for that person, libido loss and erectile dysfunction. Why the fuck is that happening? Well, aromatase inhibitors inhibit the formation, the production of estradiol. Calcium D-glucarate, via clearing estrogens and preventing glucuronidation, does not stop you from forming new estrogen. It doesn't stop you from forming new estrogen. It just helps your body clear estradiol faster from specifically the tissues, not so much the serum, but the tissues where it matters. AIs, they're like fucking, we're nuking everything, dude. The serum, the tissues, you're not even producing any. Yet whether it's Arimidex or Aromasin, you're inhibiting or killing, respectively, aromatase enzymes. That in and of itself, right? Because we need aromatase in the brain for libido. We need to be producing estrogen for the sexual system to work. We can't just stop it completely. People that take AIs and are fine, they're not stopping aromatization completely. All right. They're resistant to it to some degree and they get enough estrogen reduction where everything works. But that's not everybody. Some people respond very fucking poorly to AIs and it's just too overpowering, even if it's a microdose. Okay, so that idea on Reddit, like if it was estrogen, we could just take an AI, that's not true. If you really want to prove that it is an estrogen, well then take calcium D-glucarate, lower the estrogen naturally by shuttling more out of the system and preventing reabsorption, and I bet you'll have alleviation from the HCG-induced erectile issues. It is estrogen, boys, and an AI isn't always going to solve it. You'll have to look at alternative methods to reduce estradiol if you want to keep taking HCG. Now, let's say, though, for those of you that you just don't want to take HCG, you try to dial it in, it's been a pain in the ass, you don't want to try taking TDG, is there a way to be on TRT and not take HCG? The answer to that question is yes, but it requires a much more nuanced, educated approach about what to target to keep the testicles functional. And the real answer, rather than give you some long runaround to that, is dihydrotestosterone. Yeah, it's intratesticular DHT. Okay, you want seminal vesicle and like a reproductive system rich with dihydrotestosterone. If you do that, you can get away with not taking HCG. And load size and load volume and sensation is all going to be good. I discovered this through the heavy experimentation that no one else did on the web with oral DHT. Okay, so I used pure DHT. I removed HCG. I had massive upgrades. I had upgrades on top of baseline without HCG, but with using DHT in ejaculate volume, ejaculate sensation, and climax ability. It was just easier to do all of it, and everything functioned fine, and the testicles sat well. I've also discovered through the use of test prop that with somewhat higher doses, above 60 milligrams a day, or correction, above 60 milligrams every other day of testosterone propionate, so 210 a week plus, you could probably get away with lower doses of this. You get less suppression. We know that from the literature, okay? But I noticed that you get less suppression. My testicles hang like normally. I don't really need HCG, or at least a lot of it, when running prop. So the two ways to deal with this are, okay, to not take HCG if it's giving you erectile issues, which it can in a subset of individuals because of estrogen, would be if you're taking a long ester, okay, if you're taking testosterone cypionate or testosterone enanthate and you don't want to switch to prop, well, then you're going to have to get some exogenous DHT in your regimen. A provider will probably do this to a certain extent, but DHT in my experience is much better. So you're going to have to get oral DHT, run 30 to 60 milligrams a day. Depends on what you can tolerate and what ultimately ends up helping the system. And you won't need the HCG because that system, intratesticularly, will be functional and good. Part of the reason that HCG helps people to keep the testicles functional and load size is via the intratesticular 5-alpha reduction of testosterone into DHT. Okay, know that, boys, know that. If you don't want to take DHT for whatever reason that you think you shouldn't take DHT, I understand. Maybe you're scared of it or whatever. It's largely innocuous and super fucking helpful, but all good, to each their own. Then what you should do if you're on a long ester, in the case of HCG giving you erectile dysfunction, you can't dial in on it and you want to remove it and not have to take it, is change from that long ester to testosterone propionate. A bit over this literature as well, but short-acting testosterone is more physiologic in that it suppresses the HPTA less. So you're probably going to end up making more luteinizing hormone and more FSH just dosing test prop versus a long ester. There's no question about that. My testicles always hang full. Everything just functions fucking better. That's why I love, it's one of the reasons, and another reason among many reasons, endless reasons, why I love testosterone propionate over longer esters. But another reason why prop really works in this case is prop converts more to DHT to get more optimization of the sexual reproductive tract relative to ejaculate concentration and volume and climax sensation via optimization of intratesticular DHT, but also increased functioning of your seminal vesicles. Seminal vesicles. All right, boys, those are very important sex organs effectively that you want to have functional as possible. And DHT is like super juice for the seminal vesicles. Now, to achieve high levels of DHT on prop, yes, on TRT doses of 20 milligrams a day, you're going to get more DHT. So just 20 milligrams a day of prop might do it for you, and you don't need HCG and you're totally fine. However, I found it more likely to be the case that you're going to need higher doses of testosterone propionate, and you might need to push a little higher than what's considered TRT, but which isn't a cycle. It's still fucking TRT for people, like 280 milligrams a week or 300 milligrams a week of testosterone. 280 would be 40, or correction, it'd be 80 every other day. Okay, that's 280, it's 40 a day technically, times 7 is 28, so that's 280 milligrams a week. There you're going to get these super peaks in testosterone, and you're going to get more reduction of that test to dihydrotestosterone, and that's going to optimize the sexual system and probably make it for a subset of individuals, in this case where HCG causes ED, where you don't need HCG and everything functions fine. Still might need some estrogen control. Okay, so don't forget that. Don't forget that, because that's the whole culprit here. Still might need a little bit of estrogen control, but you won't have to take HCG, which would exacerbate that whole estrogen dynamic, and you'll be a lot better off in that case. Now, if you want to fucking do an ultra combo, the best possible way to approach is to make sure the system functions really, really well. Then take test prop and take DHT. Test prop plus DHT. Again, the major marker responsible for ejaculate volume and climax sensation in the whole ejaculate system functioning really well is dihydrotestosterone. Okay, you go low on DHT, and we've seen all the consequences of that with the PFS people, as well as people that just end up going low on DHT for whatever reason. Like they can't climax. The ejaculate volume is fucking abysmal. They have no sensation. Their erections are terrible. DHT is the answer when you don't want to take HCG, because HCG is estrogenic, will increase your estrogen, and that is the mechanism by which HCG causes ED in some small percentage of the population. We want to thank Dave for this, because Dave brings to the community's attention shit that people aren't talking about or haven't really thought about. And there is a subset of individuals that take HCG and it causes them to have erectile issues on TRT. I have scoured through all the literature. I have thought about the mechanisms at odd times when I should be doing something else so that I can get to the bottom of it. And I cannot find any other mechanism other than estrogen. Estrogen, in my opinion, at this point, okay, I'm open to interpretation and change my perspective if new information comes in that is relevant or that is credible. Right now, my position is the reason HCG for some people you can't dial in, it's estrogenic. It's increasing estrogen and you can't deal with that. And if you take an AI and you don't respond well to AIs, you're going to think, and like it doesn't fix the problem, you still have ED, you're going to think it wasn't estrogen or whatever. That's really the AI. Take some calcium D-glucarate. But we like Dave because Dave likes to think, theorize, hypothesize, and goes really deep on this shit. There are not many people out there that are talking about TRT, that go deep. That's why I respect Dave, had him on the podcast. He's an awesome guy. But Dave, it's the estrogen. All right, boys, again, if you need to hire me, I mean, one of the primary things that I do is TRT protocol restructuring. I've seen everything under the sun. I know what to do. I know what to have you order. I know what to do to dial your protocol in, especially relative to libido and sexual function. Hire me for the TRT protocol redesign consult and under a minute livecortex.com. If you need longer ongoing help, which for serious sexual dysfunction you're going to, we can't just do that in a consult. Book a 3-month or a 6-month package. I mean, that's what those are for. We get a lot done and can solve a lot of major problems. You can book me in under a minute for any of that stuff at livecortex.com. Torque Stack, boys. Look, I'm the guy that's been talking about nootropics for more than a decade and a half on the internet. I built one, the best one. Okay, it's 35% off right now. You can get it down in the description of this video. Lastly, this is the only selling point for Sourceless. I just got 8 vials of 10 milliliters per vial of testosterone enanthate for cheaper than you can get at any clinic. You can't even get it from a fucking clinic, okay? It was at my doorstep in 4 days. Need I say more? Oh, in addition, though, DHT, Proviron, Primo, Masteron, any anabolic you can fucking think of. Sourceless, boys, Sourceless. Get it now and thank me later. Believe me. All right. Brother, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope you guys have a great week moving forward. More content coming this Wednesday, so look forward to that. Sub to the channel if you're new. Much more breakdowns on all things TRT, sexual function, anabolics, etc. Hit the like button. It really makes a big difference to the algorithm. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week, and you know the drill, boys. Trump is your president.